Hi everybody, my name's Andrew Jevons from Survey Analytics, and I'm here to present along with Chad Bandari this seminar on Survey Swipe, our product for smartphones. We'll be talking about the general concepts to do with the growth of the smartphone market, and then specifically about our product and how you can use that to conduct research. And we feel how this is going to be a great revolution for the research industry as we come into these times when the smartphone is beginning to dominate the landscape of personal computing. I've just got a few statistics here that actually I got off a great video that's up on Google. If you're looking down in the bottom corner here, you'll see a link, and I really would recommend that everybody goes and has a look at that because it really gives a great insight into what's going on. Google compiled some really interesting statistics, and they looked in a period of time, I believe it was a week, and they surveyed a bunch of people, and they found that 81% of people during that time who used smartphones had browsed the internet with a smartphone. 77% had used a search engine, 63% had connected to a social network, 48% had watched a video, and 22% of people had actually used their smartphone while reading a newspaper, and 33% had used them while watching TV. And a really interesting behavior that we're beginning to see is that 79% of people had used a smartphone while they were shopping. Now, I'm sure you must have seen lots of these applications that you can get that allow you to do like comparison shopping. And indeed, I found that that's something that's very, very useful when you're actually out and about and trying to compare prices. I tend to go into my local Target and do that. And this is really pointing to the way that smartphones are, in fact, restructuring the way consumers behave within the marketplace. And there's no reason to believe that this kind of change in behavior is going to diminish over time. Another interesting statistics was that 44% used the smartphone to find promotions or coupons. So it's in fact a very active channel for optimizing people's shopping behavior. And I'm sure, again, some of you have seen that when you are traveling now, you can get the QR codes on your smartphone, and actually it's doing away with the old paper mechanisms of having a boarding pass, and you've actually got something on the smartphone that's a multifunction device. Indeed, I saw something recently where Visa were talking about actually enabling smartphones as a payment channel. And this is going to be a great revolution in the coming years. So we can really see that smartphones are becoming a universal channel to carry out commerce and just our everyday life. An IDC report recently reported an 80% growth in smartphone usage in the first quarter of 2011 compared with 2010. One of the leading manufacturers of smartphones, Samsung, reported a sales increase of 350% in the sales of their handsets. HTC, which as you probably know makes a wide variety of smartphones, and also the Google smartphones, the G1 and the G2, had a 229% increase in sales. These are quite outstanding figures for some technology that is really relatively new. A while back, Nielsen produced this graph looking at US smartphone penetration and projections, and there's no reason to believe that any of this is wrong. The so-called feature phones, which were the really sophisticated phones 5 or 6 years ago with cameras and texting and web browsing, are diminishing rapidly as the smartphones are increasingly going ground. And it's not difficult to see that in the future really anybody over the age of about 16 or 17, when they want some form of mobile device are really going to be looking at a smartphone. And the interesting thing is that these are really substitutes for the old concept of a personal computer, in that they really can do most things that you want to do. And the great thing is that you've got that with you all the time. So what is so great about smartphones for the research process? Because that's really what we're interested in. They're immediate in that people have got them with them pretty much everywhere. Certainly I carry my smartphone everywhere, and when you have one, it's the same as any mobile phone. You've got it all the time. So you've got a device that's with you that has all this connectivity, and you have all this access to it, and it's always there. In terms of research projects, you can look at it this way. When somebody traditionally does a research project, maybe they do a web interview or maybe even they're answering a phone, they're working on the basis of recall. You can't really get at somebody with a standard web interview on a laptop or a desktop when they're in the store or when they're carrying out some activity. You're really bound by the way that that technology works to be asking people to recall what they're doing rather than reporting about it in the moment. With smartphones, you have access in the moment when people are actually in stores, when people are carrying out leisure activities, when people are doing that critical shopping behavior. Smartphones are also personal. That is, they don't get shared the way that desktop computers do. One of the old problems with access panels was that people would go to great lengths to try and work out who they were talking to. When somebody's doing a web interview, you want to be sure that it's the person who subscribed to the panel and not their spouse or their children or their relatives. It's rather hard to do that with a desktop or a laptop because they can tend to be shared more easily than a smartphone. We pretty much tend to use smartphones as a personal device. We don't hand them around because they have our phone number. We talk about us having a phone number. And that's a really great thing for research, in that we know that we can be pretty sure that the person who signed up to do the study is the person responding when they're using the smartphone. Smartphones are also locational. You can know where they are. All smartphones have GPS capabilities, and if, again, this is based on permission via the respondent, you can know exactly where people are. And this opens up a whole range of studies, which we'll talk about a little later on, for research that just wasn't possible before. Now that we know where people are, we can do location-based surveys about what happened to somebody when they were just in a store or the stores that are around them in that particular location, and they can talk about what they're feeling at that moment and what they can see at that moment because the smartphone tells them where they are. And smartphones, as we said, are identifiable. They all have a unique ID. Now, of course, there are privacy issues. You have to be careful that you get permission to track that unique ID. But assuming that that can be done, and it is being done at the moment, we know absolutely who's responded and which phone has responded and where it is. And it's important to remember the final thing. Smartphones are fun. People enjoy using them. It's the same sort of enjoyment people get from surfing the web or any other of the activities that you can carry out on smartphones. Of course, there are lots of games for smartphones now. It's a fun medium, it's a fun platform to carry out a survey. And again, in these days when we're increasingly considering respondent engagement and how people engage with the survey, the smartphone platform really gives us a lot of advantages in that way. I'd like to highlight something here, location-based surveys. We have a concept called HyperLocational Surveys. And location and push, that is, pushing out a survey invitation to somebody, is a really wonderful thing to get the immediate opinions about where people are. Now, one thing is, we can track possibly when people visit stores, or if they're at a Starbucks, for instance, an airport. We can know about that because of the capability of the smartphone. We don't have to rely on recall when somebody's asked about a web survey, whether they're asked where they were. We don't have to rely on that sort of thing. We can know from the smartphone where someone was or where indeed someone is. And we can ask them very specific questions about that location. For instance, of the restaurants that are surrounding them at that point, we can ask them which ones they've visited, which ones they haven't, what their opinions are of the ones they visited. And this is a capability that we really didn't have before. It's something that's entirely new. And this applies for all sorts of categories, not just restaurants. It can be stores, it can be parks, it can be a whole range of information we can get from these phones, which really makes the nature of the research change radically than previously with ordinary web surveys. We've also been doing some work on this concept of mobile ethnography, and that essentially means recording what's going on around people. One of the studies we did was for the Super Bowl in 2011. We asked people to upload a photo of what they were doing at that point. And usually, and this was during the Super Bowl, so people were very often either with friends or with family. They were eating, they were watching the TV, and we found quite a high level of participation in our panel. We got 30% of the people we polled uploading photos, and we got 100 photos in 60 minutes, which is pretty good. And this provides a wealth of information, which again was really not possible with ordinary desktop surveys. We really didn't have that capability, or at least we'd have to ask people to get a mobile camera, to go and take a photograph, to connect it to their laptop, to then upload it. And that process really was too cumbersome. With mobile ethnography, with the capabilities of smartphones, we find that that's a lot easier to do. And again, it opens up a whole new channel of research. And this is something that is very active within the mobile surveying communities. You'll find that mobile ethnography is really revolutionizing the way we find out about how people behave in their private moments. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about the Survey Swipe offering. Survey Swipe is a comprehensive smartphone platform with an integrated panel management system. We already have versions working on Android and iPhone. Versions are coming out very soon for BlackBerry and Windows 7. So we have the entire range of platforms covered. So it really isn't an issue what your panelists or your respondents are going to be used. We're rapidly developing several panels. Indeed, we've got one that will have over 20,000 respondents by the end of the month. And one advantage for these kind of technologies, we tend to find that the people who are using these panels are at the younger end of the marketplace. Now, this is significant in that in traditional access panels where we've performed research, you do find that getting younger respondents, particularly younger males, can be rather difficult. And smartphones are a great way of accessing this younger demographic and getting access to them in a fun way. Survey Swipe works with Survey Analytics, which is the main analytical platform. All the data that's collected is uploaded to Survey Analytics, and our panel management system called Micropanel. We use the Survey Swipe platform predominantly with these private communities or panels. It's a great way of collecting either longitudinal or snap data, and it really increases your response rates if you can build people into a panel or community. And we have consultants and mechanisms where we can help you build your own private communities and panels, and this can really be something that revolutionizes your research process. We're very proud of the fact that we actually reward people who use Survey Swipe on their smartphone with points. The point systems are redeemable for applications from the various smartphone stores, such as the Apple Store, the Android market. Rewarding people with apps really ties into the whole platform usage, in that smartphones are very often used for a variety of apps. Indeed, you can use games. There are things like Urban Spoon, which are free, which people use. And with using this mechanism, it also gives an immediate reward to the person. Once they've accumulated enough points, they can go and download an app, and they can get really their immediate reward for doing the surveys. We make Survey Swipe available on a per project basis. We have an offer which we'll talk about later on, or for, as we said, for custom panels and communities. And there are details in the PowerPoint and later on how to contact us and get this and get some information and some pricing on how that can be done. Now, Chad's now going to perform a demo for us. I'm going to make Chad a presenter. Chad, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you share your screen for us?
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thanks, Andrew. Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here today. I'm Chandika Bhandari, responsible for Survey Swipe within Survey Analytics. So I'll be giving you a demo of the Survey Swipe application from the point of view of the respondent, people that take the survey. As we built this application over the last year, we operated with a few core principles that we focused on. Firstly, that it should be fun. It should be fun to take surveys on the device. So really take advantage of the UI capabilities of the smartphone. Secondly, take advantage of the powerful features of smartphone like GPS and camera. And thirdly, really think hard and experiment and figure out how to continually engage the respondents so that they come back and take more surveys and hopefully improve response rates. So what you're seeing on your screen here is an emulator for the iPhone application, and you are right now looking at the default screen of the Survey Swipe application. The default screen, of course, is all about surveys. The respondent sees the surveys that they've been invited to participate in. As you can see, each survey is also associated with the points that they can earn after completing the survey, which you'll see accumulated as a badge on the rewards button down below. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take a survey and kind of navigate through what it's like to go through a survey as a respondent. As I go through the questions, what you'll see is an animation that notifies the respondent about the percentage of other respondents that selected the same answers. We believe that feedback while taking surveys makes it more interesting for respondents to answer more questions. So I'll go through and take the survey really quickly. I want to talk about this last page a little bit. So this question was our experiment with toying with marriage between market research and lead generation. So what we did is we basically asked our respondents to send an email for sending us an answer about whether they would like a free movie ticket as a reward option. While it may look silly, we realized that people actually took the time to send the answers in an email, and 40% of the people who actually took the surveys, this is a live survey by the way, 40% people who took the survey actually sent an email saying yes, they would like to do it. Now, in itself, taking an email, is a call to action, and it does take effort, and it's really not part of the survey workflow. But we were very, very happy. We were very, very happy to see that 40% people actually sent it. Now, if we replace the email with a phone number, you can think, because of the fact that smartphones have the capability to make a call, you can see how market research can generate leads. I think we do have an opportunity there. For market research to generate leads. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is profile. Looks like profile is broken right now, but respondents can either fill out one profile at a time, or they can go and fill all profiles through a widget-like experience. After filling out a certain number of profiles, they will accumulate a certain number of points, and we collect other passive profile information, which I won't go into details right now. But we do have a fairly extensive profiling built into the product. As far as rewards are concerned, we use a point system, as you've already seen, and Andrew also talked about that. The points can be redeemed for various types of rewards. Our strategy has been to reward respondents frequently rather than having them wait for a long period of time. The reason we do that is we have figured out a way to give out paid smartphone apps as rewards, like Tiny Birds, Angry Birds, and a bunch of other apps on the Android platform and the iPhone platform, as well as BlackBerry and Venmo. And we hope that as people use the smartphone apps that we've given them, that they will be encouraged to come back and take more surveys. The other things that we have, actually, I do want to talk a little bit about hyperlocal surveys. The map icon that you see up here at the top takes you into our feature that we call hyperlocal surveys. We have integrated with the GPS available on the smartphones, where we can push out surveys for particular categories of stores and restaurants, or really any entity type of interest, and collect data about those entities via surveys. A respondent can participate in two kinds of hyperlocal surveys, active and passive. Active hyperlocal survey is when the respondent is notified about a survey when they're in close proximity with a class of entity, for example, coffee shop, or really even a specific entity like Starbucks at 1200 Westlake Avenue North in Seattle, Washington, which is identified by a unique address and a latitude, longitude coordinates. Passive hyperlocal surveys are surveys that are presented when the user clicks on the hyperlocal survey button, as you're seeing on your screen right now. For people, a small note about for people who care about privacy here, the interesting thing here is that we only send location information when the user clicks on the button, the hyperlocal surveys button, and maybe sometimes as part of the survey response. So we're not keeping track of location of the user every second. The other things that we have push notification integration as well, but unfortunately I can't show it to you right now because push notifications don't work with simulators. Push notifications work with normal as well as hyperlocal surveys. Respondents can earn rewards for inviting their friends by going here. Facebook integration is coming soon. We also have hyperlocal offers. Hyperlocal offers show coupons in forms of barcodes when the respondents are around a certain location. We're thinking about scenarios like, maybe when a respondent goes to get a haircut at Great Clips, they can scan their barcode and get 20% off their next visit. But these are things that are coming in future. We're really excited about that. As I said in the beginning, we're really thinking about engagement, continual engagement really, as a way to entice respondents to take more surveys, and hopefully that will improve response rates and market research in general. That said, I will turn it over to Andrew, who will talk about our various offerings with Swipe.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chad. I'll just do some, make myself the presenter here. And I'll show my screen and get that moving along. Okay, as you've seen, there's a very comprehensive set of features on Survey Swipe, and we're very excited. We're getting a lot of interest, and we've decided we're going to offer this as both a project basis, where you can have a single project, and also to build your own private community. For our current project offer, it's $2,000 per project, and that will be 200 general population completes. We can also tune the sort of sample that you want. We do have quite a wide range of people available, so if that's something that doesn't fit with you, please let us know. We'd be very happy to work with you on that. We're providing 15 questions. It's a fast turnaround. It's all going to be smartphone based, and the data will be available in a variety of forms through the survey analytic platforms. You can get a raw data download, you can get summary charts, and this is a great way to get yourself accustomed with the ideas and concepts within smartphone surveying, and I think it'll be a really great way for you to understand and learn about this really exciting new way of doing research. And now I'd like to ask if anybody's got any questions. There is a panel available on your application there for GoToMeeting. So if you've got any questions, let us know, and we'd be happy to answer them. There's a question, Chad. Typically, what kind of turnaround speed in terms of how quickly people respond when you give a push request for a survey you've seen?
Very, very, very quick. Like it's so quick that it's almost scary. When we sent out a survey, I think a couple of weeks ago about Osama bin Laden, I think we got like 200 responses within 2 hours. Actually, less than 2 hours. And we selected about 800 people out of that. So 25% of the peoples answered the question within 2 hours, and really, like I didn't check it like half an hour after we sent out the survey, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's even less than that.
Okay, that's good to know. And also in terms of the costs are variable in terms of the size of the panel that you want to have. There really isn't any strict upper band about this, and of course that there are economic constraints in that the larger the panel you have, the cheaper it becomes per panelist. And to answer another question, there really isn't any limit in terms of how many pictures you can upload. You're not just restricted to 1 or 2. If you do want people to take several pictures, if you like, for instance, the picture of the contents of a fridge or a pantry, that's quite possible as well. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions. Wait a minute or two. I think then if there are no more questions, thanks everybody for attending. It was really great to have this opportunity to present it to you all, and I hope in the future you'll think of us when you think about smartphone and mobile surveys. The presentation and recording will be available for download on SlideShare by tomorrow at the very latest if you need to go over this again. And okay, thanks everybody and have a great day.
Thank you guys.